Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another Q&A. I decided to go ahead and do another one. Why not? I had a lot of fun last time. I answered a lot of different questions. Today, we've got another 10 to go through. And because I was originally going to be doing an Operation Arsenal tonight, of course, the game has been cancelled or postponed because of the fears of coronavirus and stuff like that. So I decided to replace that video with this. The RTG will be back tomorrow, don't worry. And we're going to go ahead and get into the first question, which, funnily enough, is about the coronavirus. Now, straight away, obviously, I've got to say this. I'm no expert. I probably know the exact same information as you do if you read the news and watch interviews with some specialists on YouTube and stuff like that. I know a lot of people probably haven't done that, and to be fair, I didn't up until the last few days. But since they decided to shut down the Serie A, for now that's been postponed, and a bunch of games playing behind closed doors with no fans, and that really hit me. I'm like, wow, it's serious then. It's really serious. So I knew I'd get questions about this, but of course, don't take what I'm saying as fact. I'm not an expert, but I've got my opinions, of course. So the question from Dean is, how do you feel about COVID-19? That's the name they've given it, the coronavirus. Especially with you having diabetes, are you concerned? So the reason he's asking about the diabetes, and I'm sure you know why, is because people that have existing conditions, or if they're elderly, you are a little bit more likely to have a more serious version of this coronavirus. You can get worse symptoms, and actually in some cases you can die. So especially with the elderly, people with problems with their breathing already, lung issues, heart issues, stuff like that. And diabetes is definitely on that list of pre-existing conditions that will affect how you deal with the virus. So yeah, of course, that's concerning to me. But the thing is, I've got age on my side. I'm only 27. And the likelihood is I would be okay. Sure, I'd probably feel really bad for a week or two. Every time I get a cold, just a normal common cold, it does knock me out because my body just reacts differently to, say, a normal healthy person. My immune system just isn't very good. So I think if I was in a public job where I'm in an office or whatever, and I was to catch the virus, for sure I would catch it, and it would probably do a little bit more damage than someone who's 27, fit and healthy. But I don't think I'm at risk of dying, put it that way. But of course, that's not really the issue here. For people my age, the issue is getting the virus and then passing it on to people that will die of it. So people that are over 75, 80, that kind of age where they just will not be able to fight it. People that have had recent surgery, whether it's heart bypasses, things like that. So that's the real issue with coronavirus. It's not necessarily about being infected when you're relatively healthy and you will obviously get better from it. It's the fact that you've got it and you could pass it on. And from what I'm reading, a lot of people that do get it get very minor symptoms. So therefore, they might think they've got a cold, and therefore they're going to these public events, they're going to the football, or they're going to the Olympics in the summer, whatever, and passing it on. So that's what I've read. That's the real issue here. It's just people surviving it. Sure, that's obviously a good thing, but it's the people that survive it but still pass it on. That's the real issue. It's very contagious. Apparently, just being within 2 to 4 meters of someone breathing with it can be enough for you to catch it. So the best thing you can do, and I guess I owe it to my viewers, I'm in a position where I can talk to thousands of people. My advice would be not to panic, especially if you are between the ages of 5 and 30, 40. You're most likely going to be absolutely fine after you've recovered from it. But don't panic. Just don't worry too much. Try and stay away from public places. If you need to go into work, that's of course different, but don't go to music festivals if they're going on. Don't go into massive public areas, and just make sure that you are hygienic. Clean those hands. Don't touch your mouth, eyes and nose. And if you can, stay at home, because it doesn't hurt, does it? Thankfully, I'm in a position where if in the next 6 months it gets really bad, I only need to leave the house to get food and see family. I can comfortably sit at home and do this YouTube thing and stream and stuff like that. So thankfully, I will be okay. I've got some savings as well if things get really bad. So for people like me, it's obviously not as serious in terms of not being able to get out and work. But to those of you who are still needing to get out the house, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, of course, it's really concerning. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much. I don't want it to take up the whole video, but for sure, I am concerned, not necessarily for me, but for my family that are over the age of 60. I've got a granddad that's got serious heart issues. My other granddad's got other health issues right now, and they most likely wouldn't survive it. So yeah, that's my real concern. We'll move on to the next question, which comes in from Dan Palmer. He says, you should buy a Mustang. That's a slightly different question. I think I included this because it's quite a cool subject to talk about. My favorite cars. Now, I've openly said in the past, I do like Mustangs, especially the old Shelby Mustangs. I think the 67 and the 69 models, they're absolutely beautiful. I really, really would love to own one day. But quite honestly, you know, when 2030 comes around and you're no longer able to buy petrol and diesel cars, that's going to be a bit pointless, isn't it? I would rather get maybe the new electric Mustang or something like that if I was to buy a Ford. But right now, I'm driving an electric car. I've got the new Nissan Leaf, which me and my wife Ellen love driving. It's such a great car, but of course we bought it because it's so green and it's really cheap to run. So I think forever now, I'm going to be going electric. And I guess the car I would choose right now is probably the Tesla Model 3. Although I like all the Teslas, they're all great, of course. But as the years come by, we're going to be seeing a lot more electric models and different cars coming out. So definitely I'm going to be keeping my eyes out for that. But right now, I would say my dream car, if there was no problem with petrol and diesel in the future, I'm probably, if I'm talking somewhat attainable, maybe I could do it one day. That would be a Nissan GTR, potentially. But maybe the real dream would be like a McLaren F1 or the Ferrari 458 Italia, I think it's called. I quite like a good Ferrari, or maybe there's a lot of cars out there. But I think if I'm being realistic, if I was to save up for years and years, maybe the Nissan GTR would be my purchase. But I'm going electric now, I think. On to the next question. Thank you for that one, Dan. Tom Lewis says, what's your biggest goal with YouTube? Do you want to achieve a specific number of subs this year, for example? Honestly, I'm being brutally honest with you guys. No, I don't. I think with what I'm doing, and there's a question that relates to this later on in the video, I feel like there's only so many people that enjoy watching and playing career mode. I think my channel is probably near its peak, if not, it's already hit its peak maybe a year ago or so. And yes, I'm still gaining subs, but I'm also losing subs. Luckily, I'm still in the positive. I'm still gaining a couple of thousand a month, but I don't think my channel is ever going to hit the millions. You know, I very much doubt it because it's a very limited, well, I don't want to call it a market, but it kind of is a market, isn't it? I'm in the market to try and gain subs and stuff and get more views and stuff like that. And that's all well and good, but I don't think there's such a reach like Ultimate Team has and some other games like, you know, the Call of Duties of the world. And they just have such massive audiences. Whereas career mode, although EA like to say that not many people play it, a lot of people do still play it. But in terms of people wanting to watch it as well, I think it's very possible that there isn't much more room to grow. But that's fine. I'm more than happy with what I've achieved on YouTube already. Of course, I would love to achieve more. And maybe in the future, I do change it up. Maybe I do go for a different game or whatever. Who knows what's going to happen? But right now, my only goal is to sustain it. And most importantly, enjoy it. Because this is a once-in-a-lifetime type of opportunity. To be able to do something you love as a hobby and earn a living from it is it's pretty incredible. So the answer is no. Obviously, I would love to hit maybe 800k by the end of April-ish, but it's probably not going to happen, you know? But that's okay. We'll move on to the next question now, and it's from Rainy Day Music, Joe Rainbird. Interesting name. Do you still enjoy doing YouTube? I didn't realize that was part of this question. When you as much as you did when you first started, how do you deal with the hate? I've been watching your channel since the Shrewsbury CM. Wow, in FIFA 12. Thanks for the great content over the years. No worries, man. I'm glad you enjoy it, and hopefully you enjoy all the good stuff as well that's coming out now and in the future. Yes, I still enjoy YouTube, probably more than I did when I first started. When I first started, of course, it was difficult to get any results. But then back then, having 1,000 subs was incredible. I remember hitting 1,000 subs and just it blew my mind. Whereas now you get YouTubers hitting literally 100 million. It's incredible. That's PewDiePie, of course. Who's the other one? Is it T-Series? I know they had a big battle, didn't they? But honestly, I think I enjoy it personally now that I do have a bigger audience than I did back then. It's great, to entertain more people. I would say, though, that because I have done it for so long, there are days where it's harder to enjoy it more. There are days when, I think to myself, am I actually going to load up FIFA and play it for another 2 hours and talk over it to myself, being a commentator, and literally I'm talking to myself right now. It's kind of a weird thing, right? That's definitely harder because when it was new, it was fresh. It didn't bother me just creating, and it doesn't bother me per se, but there are days when I enjoy it more than others, whereas back then it was more consistent joy. I think now 6 out of 7 days I'm absolutely fine, and then that one day I'm kind of like, I don't really feel like making a FIFA video today. But yeah, I still enjoy it. I do. We'll go to the next question now. Michael says, what's your favorite ever game? Oh, really difficult because I've played so many games, but really I'm only known for one, and that is FIFA. So to a lot of people watching, the obvious answer is FIFA, right? But genuinely, I don't think it is my favorite game. It's definitely my most played game. It's the game that I've put most hours into. And of course, it has become this incredible thing that's changed my life. But honestly, my favorite game of all time, if I could only play one game forevermore and it wasn't reliant on my job and things like that, I would probably pick either World of Warcraft, just because I grew up on that. Like, that was an incredible game for me. I sunk so much time into that game, and if I was ever stressed, just jump on WoW. Everything would just be fine. It's literally a second life. Or it would be FIFA. So it is a difficult choice. I think, though, if I really, really am honest, World of Warcraft was and probably is still the biggest game of my life in terms of just playing it. But of course, FIFA is a much more important game to me. It's a massive game. Right now, I'm playing the new Call of Duty Warzone Battle Royale, which is really good. I've got my first win today. Get in there. I'm playing Apex. I've played all the Battle Royales, really. I played a lot of PUBG when that came out. I've got 500 hours on that or something. MMOs in general, I do like them. I've played, a lot of Assassin's Creed, Far Cry. I'm playing Red Dead 2 again. So I like a lot of different games, if I'm honest. Next question. It is from Luke Higginbottom. He says, do you think the season will finish early because of the coronavirus? Okay, I don't want to talk about it too much more again because obviously the start of the video was all about it. But my honest opinion is football is nothing compared to health. Of course, it's one of our favourite things to watch and play. And yeah, football is important to us. But if it's putting lives at risk, then of course it's not worth it. So if it gets to the point where they feel like they need to either postpone games or straight up cancel games, then that's just the way it is. Honestly, I don't think it will be cancelled, and I don't think the season will finish early per se. I think if anything, it will just be postponed. I think the idea right now in the UK, having listened to a lot of the powerful people in the country, they want to delay the spike of this virus to the summer. So when most people have it, the actual peak will be hopefully in the summer, and we can deal with it because that peak is slower than a sharp rise, and it does mathematically make sense. Okay, so instead of having 50,000 people in one day sick, you can make it 10,000, but have those 10,000 each day for a week instead of one day with 50,000. It makes sense on the NHS to relieve beds and staff and stuff like that. So I think it's very likely that the Euros will be cancelled. I think that's very likely at this point. And I think the Premier League season, let's say in 2 weeks, if they decide it's getting too much for the country, we need to postpone it, they will just simply move it into the summer, and then the new season will start maybe a week or two after the end of this one. So there would be no summer tournament or things like that. That's one way they could do it. The other way they could do it is pause it, postpone it until August, and then kick off the new season by finishing this season and then shifting that one across so it ends a little bit later next year. Maybe it would finish in June instead of May. You know, there's lots of ways we could just postpone and move it, but it completely depends on the development of the virus. You know, it's very possible that we can't just shift it and that it will just be cut to an end. But I don't think that's going to happen. And yes, Liverpool deserve the title regardless of what happens. If they don't get it, that's ridiculous in my opinion, because they have clearly won the title. It's going to happen. We might as well do it. I get the meme. I get it. Let's end it now so Liverpool don't win it. But no, I don't think that will happen. If anything, we'll postpone it and maybe it will take over the Euro spot. And I think all games will just be played behind closed doors. I think that is probably the only way. And the players will just have to constantly be tested, put into quarantine if they have been potentially shaking hands with other people that have got it. You know, lots of things can happen, but I don't think it will be cancelled completely. And I don't think it'll finish early. Next question is, what do you see yourself doing in 10 years? From Sarne's Rapid. He is very rapid. Good question, this, and that's why I picked it, because I don't know. I don't even know what I'll be doing in 3 years. I hope I'll be doing this for as long as I enjoy it. That's the main thing, right? I'm happy, and that's the biggest thing. I'm happy doing this. Whether or not it will last another 5-10 years, I don't know. Whether I move into streaming more, or if I move into sports journalism, or just something along the lines of talking about football and being creative with football, who knows? But I know for a fact that football is where I want to be. This is my favorite thing to do, whether it's FIFA or real life football. Gaming in general, you know, football apps, who knows? But in 10 years' time, I see myself most likely with kids. I think that probably is going to happen as long as we don't all die from the coronavirus. Me and my wife, Ellen, we're not having kids anytime soon. But in 10 years, that is quite a long time. I'll be 37. So I think the likelihood is 1 or 2 kids. And hopefully mortgage free. That would be a dream of mine, and just being able to enjoy life and do what I enjoy the most at that time. Whether it's doing this or not, I have no idea. It's a good question. Next, we have from Ayman Farid. I'm probably saying your name wrong. I'm sorry about that. How does it feel to know that you've legitimately been a part of many people's childhoods? I've been watching your videos for years and I really feel like I've grown up on them. Yeah, it is. I never think about it. That's the thing. And it's a really interesting question, because if you really think about it, you know, I've been doing this for over 10 years. The likelihood is there are some 11 or 12-year-olds or 13, 14-year-olds that started watching my videos from the start, and they're maybe still watching them now, and they've grown up with me. And it's an incredible thought. Never, ever thought about it, honestly. Like, the only time maybe it's come across my mind that people are older than they used to be that are still watching my videos is when maybe I go through a rough period on YouTube where my views are really down, or a career mode just isn't being well received. And I sometimes think to myself, well, most of the audience aren't 15 anymore. They're probably 25 and they don't enjoy it anymore. So there is that. But it's amazing. If there is any of you out there that have legit gone through secondary school while watching me, then I salute you for sticking with me. I really appreciate the support over the years, and long may it continue. We've got 2 more questions here. We've got one from Ahmed Madi. I don't think I've said that name right either, but he says, have you ever thought about quitting YouTube? Honestly, I'm 100% honest with you, okay? These videos, nothing but the truth. The answer is no. I have never even considered quitting YouTube. I've definitely considered taking a month off, but I mentioned in the last Q&A, I would never do it. I couldn't do a month off. I'd really, really struggle, I think. I need to have something all the time that I'm doing. And no, I've never thought about quitting. Why? Why would you quit when you're doing okay enough to make a living and you're enjoying something? It doesn't make sense. The only way I guess it could cross my mind is if all of a sudden it's not enough to keep me and my family going money-wise. But no, honestly, no. I've never thought about quitting, and I don't intend to quit. It'll be a sad day when I do. Last question of the video from Chris McKenzie. I love that name, the way it rolls off the tongue. Chris McKenzie. If you could have dinner with anyone, who and why? Oh my God. I picked this question but didn't even think about it. It depends, because there's 2 answers, and one of them is really quite bad, and I hope people don't think it's too weird and too wrong. but I'd almost want to sit down with someone that's been really evil and just talk to them about it, like understand why. But also, I'd love to talk to someone that's just been a huge part of my life that's no longer here anymore, or someone that's changed the planet as we know it. So I think if I was to talk to someone that's evil, and I'll be safe, yeah? Promise me I'll be safe, because I don't want to be killed by this person or have his goons sent on me. But honestly, sitting down with someone like Hitler would be fascinating. Of course, an absolutely despicable person. Horrible, horrible person. But imagine if he was 100% honest with you and you could ask him anything. It would be fascinating. I'd love to know why. Why? And similar to him, there's so many other murderers and people that have just done awful, awful things. I would just love to understand how their brain works. But of course, it's kind of weird, isn't it, to want to talk to someone evil when you could talk to someone amazing. There might be some family in my recent history that I never got to meet. That would be amazing to talk to my great-great-great-great-granddad or something like that. But honestly, this is a really, really tough question. I don't know. I don't know who I would pick. I'm gonna have to think about it, and maybe it will come back up in another video, and I'll talk about it then. But I mean, I'd love to meet Thierry Henry, but the fact is, I think most people in this situation would pick someone that is impossible to talk to, someone that's died, you know, someone that's no longer here with us. I could genuinely sit down with Thierry Henry at some point. You never know. So I can't really pick someone alive. Yeah, I don't know. That's a really, really good question. Maybe some of the early scientific breakthroughs, the people that saw those happen, that would be really cool. Someone really smart that makes me feel just stupid. Anyway, that's going to be the end of another Q&A video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. I really enjoy doing these, so I won't do it every week, but maybe every couple of months from now we'll do some Q&As and you guys can get your questions in and you get to know me a little bit better, and I get to talk about myself, which I don't normally do. It's kind of weird. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like, make sure you subscribe with notifications turned on, and I will see you for another Career Mode episode tomorrow.